Testing, testing. Hello. What's going on, guys? Pardon my glasses, by the way. My contacts are out, so I gotta wear these busted things for a little bit. But today we're doing a little jungle cook-up. I'm gonna start doing just YouTube videos on the regular, making my music, doing my thing. I want to also show you guys more of what I do. If you just know me from Spotify or something, or you just know me as a producer that makes type beats, I want to kind of show everything that I got. That's why I figured what best to start out with than good old jungle, man. My favorite genre probably of all time. I did start a little bit ahead of time before I pressed record, and I got this drum beat kind of laid out, little cool 16 bars, and yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah, no, I didn't add a bass line yet, so we're gonna do all that on camera. But I'll play it for you guys real quick, and I'll explain kind of how I processed it. Alright, so I started out by just having the kick play at, I think those are 16th notes? Yeah, 16th notes. And I just have the channel volume automation just going straight up. Something I like to do is I like to have a little bit of dead silence at the beginning and also have it reach maximum volume a little earlier than at the very end. I find that just kind of gives me a slightly different effect that I prefer more. Also, you'll notice that there's a little space right here. Sometimes I will just fill it straight in, but I kind of liked having this space. I feel like it gave it more room and let this kick hit like especially hard, So it just sounds like this. There's like that just brief pause. I think that adds a good amount of punch. And for the two breaks I'm using the Soul Pride break, a classic. And then I'm also using James Brown Funky Drummer. Really, really pitched up. And I have both of those going into individual channels right here, 10 and 11. I have them routed to a drum bus. And on the drum bus, I keep it pretty simple. I like to create a room really quick that helps kind of bleed the sounds together and makes it just more cohesive in my opinion. I don't like having a lot of like completely dead sound when it comes to the drum breaks and chopping them up. I feel like this kind of blends it. I have that going into Waves V-Comp compressor. This is like an analog modeling compressor. To be honest, I doubt I'm using this for its intended purpose, but I just have it driving just a small amount of dB. To be honest, the Soul Pride break is far more has a lot harder transients. It's a lot louder, so it's really only hitting that and just bleeding it together. But I like to put the reverb before the compressor, so that really makes everything sound super cohesive. It's a very subtle difference, but I notice it. Something else I did as a fun little effect is I use a tape stop on the snare. And this is only happening right here, so it's not like repeating every time, because I don't want to overdo it with the tape stop effect, but you can hear it very briefly if you just pay attention. You can hear it on that snare. It just dips down a little bit. And after that, I just have some basic EQing. I made sure to take out a good amount of the bass information. I also took out a little bit of the high end because I felt like the tonal difference in the breaks was pretty noticeable, so I feel like this kind of helps glue it together. Yeah, that's kind of my process for doing drums. It's just basic room, reverb, some compression. I will add saturation at times. I like to use tube and tape saturation. There's a really good plugin called T-Saturator, and you can have tape, tube, clip, and even full distortion. You can change the frequency range, which I thought was very nice, especially if you're working on basses and that kind of thing. There's also mid-side capabilities and crunch and smash, which is just like, changes the tone of whatever distortion you're using a bit. Auto makeup gain, which is always nice to have, versus like M-saturator, which I do also like for certain things, like adding specific harmonics and that. But if you look, there's just not as, I don't know, I prefer the layout of this. It's way quicker. I can do my thing. But I didn't want to add saturation right now. I might change that in the mixing stage, but right now I don't think it needs much. I'll even do parallel compression as well on occasion. Again, for this kind of thing, especially jungle, I find if you do parallel compression, it can be a little overwhelming. I don't know. It just doesn't affect the audio in a way that I desire. But to be honest, if we're talking like UKG, techno, any of the TV Girl, Pink Pantheress, Memphis type beats, any of that crap, that all has parallel compression on it. For parallel compression, a plugin I highly recommend is called Lala by Analog Obsession, modeled after the CL2A. Yeah, It's modeled after this compressor, which I mean, it's only 30 bucks. I'll probably buy it at some point, but this is free. So shout out Analog Obsession. But yeah, sometimes I'll run that and I'll shoot for like -10 to -12 dB in gain reduction. But you know, for this situation, we're not going to do that. If you want to know how I would, use La. That's what I do. All right, so I guess now we can kind of get into just the production side of things. Oh, one more thing. I added a little laser sound effect. This goes directly into the drum bus, and it hits on some snares, or actually kick, I guess. Then there's also a little Star Wars laser. I have the Haas effect on that, and then I have just some delay. I like tape delay a lot, so I'll tend to put a filter on it and kind of have some lower cutoff and some high resonance, because you know you get that kind of tape delay action. I don't know if I'm going to do the bass line or if I'm going to find a sample first. You know what? No, we're going to do a sample. So whenever you're making this like ragga-jungle type stuff, you can either start with like an R&B thing, or you can do a reggae sample first. I'm feeling reggae right now, so we're gonna do that. There's this guy called Lavery. He's one of the first junglists I ever listened to. His tracks are so fire. But he does this really fun thing called run a ragga rhythm. What's so great about it is he just plays 45s that he picked up, and as like a little mix. So it's like an hour of some kind of rare ragga. It's not all like super rare stuff, but it's definitely going to be better than, you know, ripping something off of YouTube or doing anything like that. Less of a chance of someone, you know, having the same track as you with the same sample. So I'm just going to kind of look until I find something I like.
Watch a man, we no fear no tell her we just now today and killing her tomorrow. Here down, man, I make love with man. You know it have it done. Woman, I make love with man. You know it have it done. Through me, cool out the other.
Wow. All right. I think we got one. A little tip, by the way, always have more to sample than you want. Whenever you're recording stuff, don't like try and record it right where you want it and right where you want to end it. Always give yourself as much wiggle room as possible. Also, you might get inspired by something later while you're producing it, and then you're like, oh fuck, I gotta re-record the sample, and then like pitch match it to whatever I pitched up to. It's way easier, you know, to just have the whole thing. Ideally, you just have the whole track, you know, in your thing, but this mix is like an hour long, so I don't want to download the whole bit.
For tomorrow, see what I mean? Hear me now. The return, I turn, the return, the return.
Alright, so it sounds like that's the downbeat.
No cash, the return.
And then that's a little 4 bars. Oh, it's already like super close to on beat. That's awesome. Alright, so I think I'm gonna just extract the stems real quick. And I think I'm gonna use that, yeah, as like a drop. We'll do that. Alright, so for processing the vocals, what I'm going to do is put some OTT on it, turn the depth down a little bit, do some basic EQing after I do the multiband. Alright, we're going to add some delay to give it some space. I know some people like to have the delay in a parallel channel, and then they'll like sidechain it with the parametric EQ so that the vocal kind of sits on top of the delay. But to be honest, I really want that sound that they were using in Sound Clashes, you know, so I just slap the delay straight on the channel. I don't have any kind of sidechain going on. It does bleed through, and I like that. That's very intentional. But if you want to do it with sidechain delay, by all means, you know, that's so valid. And after that, just to kind of glue everything together, I like to run it through some kind of tape. I feel like this, you know, distorts the sound a little bit, gives it some warmth, and just makes it all, it kind of like blurs it a little bit, you know, so that you can't hear some of the artifacts of the AI trackouts. You know, you can just, hopefully you only hear the vocals. You would never know that I ripped it off of SoundCloud. That's so fire already. Alright, so we're gonna throw some bass now. I feel like, fuck it, you know, we're just gonna go straight in work on the drop, and then we'll worry about the intro and A section later. I'm really feeling fat fucking square bass. Yeah, many of the producers at the time were working with strictly samplers, like the Akai S2000, S1000, just the Akai S series in general. I like to use samples specifically to get to like match that type of tone. Also, like if you play the sample at different pitches, it's different lengths, versus if you played it with a synthesizer, it's going to be the exact same every single time. So if that's what you want, go do that. But I really want that like I call it the lavery sound, because I really don't. That's like the producer I've heard do it the most. I'll run a real quick clip. But yeah, after I heard that bass line in that track, I was like, oh fuck, like that is way crazier than using a synth. Oh, I like to do my bass lines an octave up as well, and then pitch them down, just so I can make sure that the pitches are like exactly what I want. Alright, we gotta add the wheel up siren. It needs to be done. It's overused, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, this one I want to use the taped stereo delay. Gotta learn how to use this fucking thing. You know, that's why we make these videos though, so I can get better. Alright, so for the second half, I feel like an amen break drop would be really good. Whenever you're sampling amens, because it's been done so much, if you can find an amen pack like this, if I can figure out where it is, like the origin, I'll put it in the description. I highly recommend looking through sample packs that sample it from the Akai stuff, other different samplers. So like if you look at this kit, it says amen break run through Akai S1000 at cycle 500, or with different EQs, with different stretch options, with different panning, with different choruses, whatever. Run through the MPC, run through the S1100, all these different things. And this allows you to get more tonality and just be able to experiment in a more like intelligent way, I suppose, than just kind of digging through random kits. Like you can pull from a specific sampler you want to do, or if you want to have a pitch shift, instead of pitching it up in FL Studio, you grab a sample of it pitched up on an MPC 1000. You know, this is like, it's small things, but when you stack it together with a bunch of other sounds and techniques of similar manner, you can really get something different. So there even are some pre-made amen stuff in here too. Maybe it's a little too much. We'll see. I feel like that's pretty fire drop. I'm trying to think of anything else to add, because like I like the sirens as much as everyone else, but I don't want to like just coat the track and like way too much. You know, there is a Saxon sound. There's like a laser that the Saxon sound system used to use all the time. Gotta find that. Oh Jesus. All right, Splice is having issues. Hold up. All right, I'm taking that. I didn't plan on it. There it is. Alright, that's fire. Now time to make the intro. So for the intro, I'm gonna separate this real quick. Alright, yeah, okay, so the R&B sample I'm gonna have play in the intro. What to sample? Okay, alright, Okay, Jesus Christ. God, it struck gold. Ooh. Alright, let's hear that through. See if we like it.
Turn off me wait for ya, and if I slackness we chat, you know me nah make no cash the return. Off me wait for ya, and if I promote gun me nah. Turn off me wait for ya, and if I slackness we chat, you know me nah make no cash the return. Off me wait for ya, and if I promote gun me nah go make no lump sum. Sad up, me tell you say you must fall down. Sad up, me tell you say you must tear down. Man I make love with man, you know it have it done. Woman I make love with the man, you know it have it done. True me.
I fuck with it. I like that a lot. Definitely something I'd want to sit on and work on for a couple days, but I feel like for a demo, this is pretty fun.
Turn off me wait for ya, and if I slackness we chat, you know me nah make no cash the return. Off me wait for ya, and if I promote gun me nah go make no lump sum. Sad up, me tell you say you must fall down. Sad up, me tell you say you must tear down. Man I make love with man, you know it have it done. Woman I make love with the man, you know it have it done. True me.
Alright, well that's kind of how I would do like a ragga-jungle type track. This was really fun to make. I'm definitely going to finish this up and post it on my SoundCloud. If you want to hear the demo or download it, it's going to be in my Discord. That's also linked in the description. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around and watching. Have a good day.